is good. Henri is our resident scholar, and he is the director of MSI, our online course for all studies near and far, to help give you a proper shalomic perspective of the world. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so the thing is that we just want to milk the meaning out of every possible aspect of who we are. So, I would ask, were you riveted from the minute you had the opening prayer all the way through to this moment? Were you riveted? I was riveted. Like, when I saw the screen go up and it was Exodus 33, I thought, oh, that's where Moses says, show me your glory. And then you get the answer in 34 where he reveals his 13 attributes. And the two key ones are that he's abounding in Hesed and Emet. And then Yeshua enfleshes those two in John 1. That's riveting, isn't it? If you were riveted by that, you're not a spectator, you're a participant. Yes, thank you for using the P word. Then you had the Haftarah reading, Ezekiel 37, the dry bones. You're looking forward to the resurrection of Israel. Are we there? No, look at where she is right now. They'll beat all the weapons of war into plowshares. Are we there yet? No, so we want to live and lean into that, don't we? Oh, we got an Exodus to come, yes? And then the third was Revelation 5. Oh, my goodness. Revelation was written to the 7 congregations in Asia Minor. They were told at the end of this work, this apocalypse, come out of her, my people. Yes? And that was chapter 5 that he read. That's the worship scene. The word apocalypse in pop culture came to mean a catastrophe. But this is what an apocalypse is. I haven't seen what's going on in the unseen realm. Oh, but now my eyes are opening. I've had an apocalypse. And now you can live in your here and now according to those unseen realities, because now you've seen it. You've seen the team, the winning team, no matter what it looks like on ground. You've seen the winning team, and you got to be on it. Because if you're caught up in the empire, then you have to come out of her, my people. Yes? Was that an MSI announcement? Wow, that was a profound announcement. This course is going on. 3 more weeks to go live, then you can sign up for it anytime online. You'll especially learn in the 3rd unit how we reduce sacrifice to killing and death, and that's not right. The blood is in the life. You're going to get a lot on that. Wednesday night, this starts May 1st and 8th, 7 o'clock p.m. Jonathan Kaplan, an overview of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the community, what they mean. June 7th through 9th. There you go, the Visiting Scholar Symposium. We're reading his book right now in preparation. We're in chapter 2 already. We're going to blow through it. Why? To gain theological education? No, all learning is for the living. Yes, so we can live and lean into who we are. This sermon ties to the other 2. Make sure you see them. They're on YouTube. This is called From Passover to the Exodus Pattern of Life to the New Creation in Messiah. I want to make a connection between Exodus and creation. So there we have it, Karen Foreman's beautiful graphic that MSI purchased rights to. We just celebrated Passover, and we celebrated Exodus, and because it's a Messianic Passover Seder, we double-dipped. Yes. We double-dipped. We celebrated the historical original Exodus, and we celebrated the new creation Exodus. So what do we discover we have? Freedom to serve Adonai in the Sinai covenant. That's what the freedom's for. So what do? We sing the song of Moses in Exodus 15. Get your violin out. Yes, I am talking to you. I was addressing security, the violinist. And then in the New Covenant Exodus, what do we have? Freedom to serve Adonai and Yeshua in the New Covenant. So what do we sing? It was Exodus 15. Guess what? It's Revelation 15. It's just the 15. We sing the song of Moses and of the Lamb. You double dip. Yes. So we learned that we do this as selves in community. That's what we are, right? Selves in community. Because we should have an identity that is a self in Messianic community. New creation in Messiah in Messianic community. Does that make sense? Now we have a little twist on it. Look at how the word changes. Slaves in community. Because we're a slave in community. We learned in those first two sermons that everyone is a slave, so who do you serve? And we have the freedom to serve God. Okay, and now it's time for, not Hebrew, but there it is. This is a little interruption to the sermon, a little parenthesis. That first word is apocalypsis, apocalypse of Yeshua Messiah, which God gave him to show, what's in yellow, tois doulois autou, to his slaves. To show to his slaves. The book of Revelation is addressed to his slaves. See the prior two sermons to find out why there's a positive way to talk about slavery that has nothing to do with antebellum self-slavery. And then the rest of it says, to show to his slaves the things which must soon take place, and he communicated it and sent it through his angel. There it is again, to his slave, Ioane Yochanan. John is a slave. We are slaves. It's addressed to the slaves of him. There's the English translation. We have to live in the reality of the Exodus. Yes? You got to live in the reality of the Exodus. I'm talking about the ancient one that already took place. I'm talking about the one we're in right now. You must be having an Exodus out of something and into something else. Yes? So we are all in the reality of the present Exodus. And what are we looking for? The final new Exodus. So I use this graphic. You see how it's like spinning? And you got something going left and something going right, and you got a road. It looks like a 21st century road, doesn't it? That's because we're in the 21st century of God's history. So we're on this path. So there's a past reality to the Exodus. There's a ever new present reality to the Exodus. And there's a future ultimate new reality, a final Exodus that we're waiting for. You want good reading? There you go, the Exodus pattern in the Bible. Written in 1963, it is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Is there better scholarship now? Yes, but this book, the grounding of this book, the Exodus pattern in the Bible. The Exodus is a major theme in the Bible. The first great Exodus was then applied to every subsequent rescue, deliverance, or exit out of anything, especially something very difficult. And we've dealt with in the last two sermons, right? All hidden sin, pornography, gaming addiction. Somebody said to me today, how come you haven't talked about bearing false witness yet? Would you like me to have a whole sermon that just lists every sin possible to humanity? Please say no. The lists in antiquity were concise, and they pointed you, and then they'd say, and things like these. Yes? And then we have the such were some of you, but you are. And we got to live into that reality, and in the freedom, you got to be excited about it, because you got to be excited to give it away to others. And then especially, it applied to the expected final Exodus. So we're talking about the Exodus. Look at the color. The new Exodus, look at the enhanced color. The final new Exodus, look at the enhanced color. You got a past, present, and a future. And you never know in any given day which one of the three are going to affect that moment you're having. Like for me, I'm a participant in the liturgy. And I saw the passages go up and I went, whoa, Exodus 33. I was already different. Because I was thinking about what is said in that passage, and I thought, And then you get to 34, God's self-revelation that you take with you all the way through to Revelation. Incredible. So you never know. Is it the original Exodus that'll impact you right now? Is it the Exodus you're in? Is it the Exodus you need to be in that you just found out you needed to be in? Yes? I have never received more feedback from sermons than those last 2 sermons. Texts, phone calls, emails. Even people came up to me at the Seder to say, I am a porn addict. It's been exposed. I will take care of it. That encourages me. I can sleep nights. So the whole point of the Exodus is to get us here. When anyone is in Messiah, the new creation has come, the old things are gone, wonder of wonders, new things have arrived. We'll never stop talking about the new creation because we got to live and lean into it for the rest of our lives until Yeshua reappears. I went to a memorial service last night, but there was not a word about the kingdom of God dropping to earth in its fullness and looking forward to that. I was heartbroken about that aspect of that memorial service. So I want to make a connection between the Exodus pattern of life and the new creation in Messiah, and this involves a new understanding of creation. So creation and Exodus as a pattern of life. You can see this in Isaiah 43:1. Now this is what the Lord says, the one who what? Created Jacob, and the one who what? Formed Israel. Those are 2 ways of speaking about the creation of Jacob. And then it says, do not fear, for I have. That's the Exodus, that's the rescue, that's the deliverance. That's even the rescue from exile. Do not fear, I've redeemed you. I have called you by your name, you are mine. That's belonging, that's the slave of God. So can you see? Creation, Exodus, and slavery are in Isaiah 43:1. We could do the whole sermon from that one verse. That's incredible, right? Okay, I know that you need reading for the summer. There it is, 2nd book. God and world in the Old Testament, a relational theology of creation, published in 2005 by Terence Fretheim of blessed memory. He died recently. There's a book. I would read everything Fretheim wrote because you will be the better for it. But we're going to look at something he introduces us to that could revolutionize our own understanding and how we walk out of here and live for the rest of the week till we get back next Shabbat. He says, and I quote, "It's my conviction that the book of Exodus is shaped in a decisive way by a relational creation theology." He says this can be seen in the very structure of the book of Exodus, not least in the parallels between Exodus and Genesis 1 through 9. I just wanted to see how beautiful those slides are on the new projector, and I almost joined Elijah. Generally speaking, God's work in creation provides the basic categories and interpretive clues for what happens in Exodus, rescue, and related divine actions. Now, I had 20 more slides, and I cut them because this is a sermon, not a course, I have learned. A new understanding of creation, part 2. Israel's shalomic, that is to say, holistic understanding of creation is threefold. We've got to lose our weak, one-dimensional view of creation and enter Israel's threefold understanding and living out of creation. It involves 3 interrelated points of reference: originating creation, continuing creation, and completing creation. And as you can see, just like Exodus has past, present, and future, so doesn't creation. There's a past, a present, and a future creation activity going on. Let's talk about originating creation. Originating creation simply states that God is the ultimate source of the creation of the heavens and the earth. It's that vague, it's without details. How could we grow up into a greater than third grade understanding of the original creation? by understanding that the 7-day account of creation in Genesis has to do with the number 7 first as a number that leads to completion in the ancient Near East. The Genesis story of creation is a counter-narrative to all other ancient Near Eastern stories on how the cosmos came into being. And tied to it is how Israel came into being. Secondly, the 7-day account of creation in Genesis has to do with the 7-day purity cycle of Israel. That's why it's in a 7-day account. Want more reading? It's at the bottom of the screen. Samuel Ballantyne, Creation's Liturgy. Marcy, there's summer reading for us. And the Cosmic Covenant in the Torah's Vision of Worship. This book knocked my socks off. On the left-hand side, you got the first account of creation in Genesis 1:1 through 2:4a. It's from a priestly perspective. It's largely vertical in its perspective. It's about God's intended order. It's about the boundaries between the heavens and the earth. It's very cosmic and is about God's sovereignty, his kingship. On the right-hand side of the screen, you have Genesis 2:4b through 25. It is the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh perspective. It's largely horizontal in its perspective. It's about living into God's intended order. It's about reciprocal movement between the heavens and the earth, and it's intimate. It's about relation. The people are named. It is a microcosm of the story of Israel. Now look what's in the bottom in fine print. It's all about a 7-day cycle or journey from what? Darkness to light, chaos to order, impurity to purity, ordinary to holy, incompletion to completion, death to life, from initial creation to new creation, and the end is in view from the beginning. Does that sound riveting? Yeah, so take the course, because that's all we can do with it here. Genesis, not science, but genius, beyond debate. This course is being revised right now and will be up this summer as an anytime online course. You can get all the details. However, guess what MSI also does? We have a knowledge curating service. That's where you say, could you give me the gist of all the ancient Near Eastern understanding of Genesis, how it's a counter-narrative, how the 7 days works, what's going on with the ages of people in Toldot Adam? Want all that in 3 hours? That's called Knowledge Curation Service from your Center for Lifelong Learning, MSI. How do you get that curation service? Book coffee time. That's how you get it. Here's the latest example. Layla Starr. Layla is the daughter of the shepherd, Pastor Starr, of the youth at New Life. And she contacted me and she said, Henri, I want to write a 21st century sci-fi novel, and I'm talking Narnia level. And in order for me to create a fictitious cosmos, I want to know what's going on in Genesis and in the ancient Near Eastern world so I can create a cosmos that matches all of that. I said, you want to meet me for coffee? You got 3 hours? She said yes. So she sat down, and for 3 hours, we Niagara Falled her with information about all of this. And she herself said, I think I'm now in the 7th heaven. I said, well, take pictures. I've never been there myself. Continuing creation. If you want to take away from this sermon, get the whole concept of continuing creation. Continuing creation speaks to the elements of unpredictability and open-endedness in God's creation. Continuing creation speaks to the fact that not everything is predetermined. This is not a big marionette show. You get to cooperate. You get to obey. You get to respond. And the more you do that, the more of a new creation you are, and the more useful will be in God's 21st century history. And the more all those around you will be interested in what you're giving away. Genuine newness is possible in God's world. Continuing creation refers to the development of the creation through time and space throughout God's history. Continuing creation refers to the emergence of genuinely new realities in an increasingly complex world. I could go to the book of Isaiah as a starting place. In fact, it would be the primary book from which we would gain the most understanding of new creation. And what chapters would you go to? You would start with comfort, comfort my people, which is Isaiah chapter, and you would go all the way to chapter, that's right, 66, my age. You'd go all the way to my age. And man, would you see, or woman, would you see God's new creation. See, the former things have come to pass, and new things I now declare. What's that sound like? Sound like 2 Corinthians 5:17? It's right there in Isaiah. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Meaning he prophesies about them. Isaiah 43:19. Look, I'm about to do something new. Even now, it's coming. Do you not see it? Indeed, I will make a way in the wilderness, rivers in the desert. Oh, follow that whole story. See how a way in the desert was made. Isaiah 65:17. For I will create a new heaven and a new earth. The past events will not be remembered or come to mind. Looking forward to it? Then be glad and rejoice, Isaiah 65:18, forever in what I am creating. For I will create Jerusalem to be a joy and its people to be a delight. What's the two-word term for this? The New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem. There it is. So since the time of Isaiah 65, we've been looking forward to the New Jerusalem. How about you? Isaiah 66:22. For just as the new heavens and the new earth I am about to make will remain standing before me, the bottom line here is, so will you. Oh, we're in the United States where everybody asks the WIFM. Do you know what the WIFM is? WIIFM. What's in it for me? We're going to be gracious like God and get you there. What's in it for you? Just like there's going to be a new Jerusalem, how about the new you that's in progress? You excited? It better not be the same old story, same old song and dance, or we're under-appropriating God's Ruach. I could do 10 more verses there, but this is a sermon. Book of Jeremiah. Look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration. Then I will make a what? A new covenant. With who? The house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That new covenant of Jeremiah 31 was inaugurated in Yeshua Messiah. We're supposed to live and lean into it. Let's press the envelope to see how much of a new creation you can become, we can become. Let's press the envelope and do that. Does that make sense? And then Gentiles got to be a part of this. 31:32. This one will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors on the day I took them by the hand to do what? Exodus imagery, new covenant, new creation, Exodus imagery. Can you see the connection between creation and Exodus? My covenant that they broke even though I am their master, the Lord's declaration. But this is the covenant, verse 33, I could have gone to 34. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my Torah where? Within them. Has this happened in full yet? But has it been inaugurated? Yes. So we need to live and lean into the inauguration. If you read Romans carefully, Paul says, and the Gentiles, right? They only have certain responsibilities from Torah. So it has been also put into them. And they, he says, are a law unto themselves. You ever read that in Romans? Oh my goodness, there's the truth of what's going on in Jews and Gentiles who are one in Messiah, but who have different responsibilities before God. And then that last piece, I will write on the hearts, but I will be their God, and they shall be my people. There were two different slaves in the Roman world. There was the stock slave character that had to hear the instructions of a master and then carry him out. There was another slave in the Roman Empire. An Ohio State classics professor brought this to us at the Society of Biblical Literature meeting. The ideal Roman slave. The ideal Roman slave knows and loves the master so well they don't need to hear the instructions. They anticipate them from inside the fabric of their being and carrying them out without having to have them spoken to them. The ideal slave. I think Paul picked up the ideal slave character in the Roman world because he found something for Gentiles that matches the Jewish experience of having Torah on your heart and now being able to live it out from the inside by the power of the Spirit. Are you catching this? This is exciting. This is riveting. It should affect the way we live when we're at work in the middle of a day on a Wednesday. That shouldn't be the day we have to go to the bar to get through hump day because the week is so traumatic for us. We're a new creation in Messiah, and we're in a new creation in Messiah. We need to grow into what we are. And then every day, you will be excited to be alive and giving this away. He will be our God. We will be his people. Continuing creation means that God has an ongoing relationship with his creation, including us, including you, and brings into being that which is new again and again until the completed new creation. It is, I said it's difficult. No, it's impossible to separate continuing creation from completing creation or the final new creation. God's continuing creation enables and empowers the becoming of the new creation. There it is again. When anyone is a Messiah, new creation has come, old things are gone, wonder of wonders, new things have arrived. This must be our reality. So how do I make this reality to bear? How do I make this reality bear on your birthday? It's a peculiar question. Not if you're on Facebook with me, it's not. There it is. I always put today we celebrate you as all that you are and are ever becoming. You ever see that on your birthday from me? Maybe some of you thought, what is this guy, arrogant? He thinks he's something and we need to become? No, I'm in the new creation. I assume you are too. So when I celebrate your birthday, I tell you I'm celebrating you, all that you are, and I'm encouraging you to do what? Grow into the fullness of the new creation until Yeshua gets here and gives us a resurrected body to go with it. Anybody in need of a resurrected body? I see everyone past 50 with a hand up. I wasn't kidding in the previous sermon about this book. This is Makoto Fujimura. He wrote this book, Culture Care, Reconnecting with Beauty for Our Common Life. To my shock, he exhorts us to be as creative as possible in your life no matter what you do, and go bring the new creation to bear on every aspect of life no matter what you're involved in. Is that exciting? Every person who is a new creation in Messiah plays a role in the becoming of the completed new creation. Are you playing your role? Do people sit next to you in a coffee shop and think, what the heck are you involved in? Because it looks mighty fine at your table. Or there's something in your coffee or salad. It's not the latter. I think I've told you many times, why do I wear this? I decided at 60 to go buy the psychedelic paisley shirts from the 60s so that people will ask, what's that all about? Have you ever heard of the new creation, the new Jerusalem? Have you seen her colors? I'm just trying to reflect them. I've sat with atheists who said I'm interested. I've sat with Messiah followers who said, I didn't know I was in all this. That's why MSI exists. You are not a spectator. Don't be a spectator. Don't sit and watch the songs. Don't sit and watch the liturgy. Read the liturgy into the fabric of your being. By the time you go to the oneg, you'll already be different. That's not an exaggeration. That's the truth of it. You're a participant. Oh, here we go again. I got good news. I'm confident, Paul says to the Philippians, I'm confident of this very thing, that the one who began a good creating work in you as a community of Messiah followers will complete it until the day of Messiah Yeshua. Is that exciting? Is that encouraging? In the prayer meeting, that's what we need to be praying for. Do pray for your carbuncle. You have the right. But where is the prayer for this? I never see it in the prayer list. And Howard knows I'm a big chief critic about it. And he said, make sure you don't say that. He didn't mean in this sermon. He meant 3 years ago. It's time that every stone be unturned and that we live into the reality of this incredible Exodus life to the point where we cannot wait for Yeshua to come back. I ask all the time. You know, I don't know if I told you in one of the 3 sermons. I went to the airport to see Howard off. We talked about the future of MSI, the future of BMC. Then we had a time of prayer. I told you that? Yeah. And then at the end, right, he packed up his stuff, was getting ready to leave. I said, I got one more thing to say to you. And he said, what is it? I said, I know your selfish motive for going to Israel. And he looked at me like, I said, you think it's the end of the ends, Yeshua's returning, you want to be there in person, and you want to phone it into me. He laughed his head off. I am confident that the one who began a good work in us will complete it, but you've got to cooperate with the completion. Everything we said in the previous sermon, your obedience. How robust is your prayer life? If your prayer life is not robust, no wonder you don't think God's that real. You spend so little time. The Modeh Ani connects you right there from your pillow. I give thanks before you, living eternal King, for you have restored my breath within me with compassion. Great is your faithfulness. That's said from the pillow. That's how you start your day as an observant Jew. I'm just a Gentile. I pray that prayer. Why? That makes sure I'm connected to the unseen realm, the King, Yeshua's priesthood, before I get off my pillow. And then I recite the Lord's Prayer. Why? I want the kingdom to come on earth as it is in heaven. I'm not waiting to go there. I want that to come here. All of us, ... are being transformed, totally changed, ... from glory to glory, from level to level. How? As from the Lord who is the... Do not quench the Spirit. Appropriate the Ruach. We always ask God, sometimes on the way home, Margaret, say, where are we falling short? Where are we not appropriating? What else do you need to get out of us so that we're more useful to you in your 21st century history? So this is why we put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within us: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, which is idolatry. This is why, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, we present our bodies as a sacrifice. Notice this translation, far more accurate. We present our bodies as a sacrifice. Even if we said it 3 times, it would not be redundant. God is all about three-peats in the Bible. Did you notice that? We no longer present the members of our body as instruments of sin. We present them as instruments of righteousness, doing what is rightly expected in all situations and relationships. It's living, holy, and pleasing to God, which is our only possible reasonable or rational service. Those translations that say, which is your spiritual service, are working with much later Christian thinking. The word is logikos, where we get logic. It's the only reasonable or rational thing we can do after you hear Romans 1 through 11. You give your body a sacrifice. You no longer live for yourself, but for the one. And then we said, don't allow yourselves to be conformed, shaped by, squeezed into the mold of this present age, but allow yourselves to be what? Transformed by the renewing of your mindset. It starts with your worldview, and your worldview turns into your way of life. Anyone that professes this worldview and doesn't live this way, that's not the reality of the Exodus. That's bearing false witness. That's a fraud. No fraud welcome here. Only the reality. And we have God's Ruach to enter this reality and continue into it, to press into it for the rest of our lives. Be transformed by your worldview so that you may figure out what the will of God is, what is good, well-pleasing, and complete. Take off your former way of life that was part of the person you once were, corrupted by deceitful desires. Clothe yourselves with the new person created according to God's image and real what? Righteousness, doing what is rightly expected in all situations and relationships, and holiness, being separated to God. Living your life in the world, being responsible at work, engaging the stuff of the world, but bringing the new creation to bear on it. There it is. We need to go give the world a present, profound foretaste of a promised, profounder full taste. And I made up the word full taste to make this work. Be children of God without blemish in the midst of a what? Don't be part of them. Don't be part of the crooked. In the midst of a crooked and what? Perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, so people can see it. And therefore they come up to you and go, you seem different. What's going on? Do you not know the light of the world? Do you not know about the coming kingdom? Do you not know about, did you know you could be a new creation? Did you know you could have an exodus out of that addiction? Did you know you could have an exodus out of that? You're giving it away. Can you believe that? That's the end. Can you believe that? And we had Messiah's table. That is equal to the parting of the sea right there.